Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here, and before we jump into our show, I wanted to share a resource with you that can help you get your podcasting off the ground. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and really easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad to you. So if you want to get started with podcasting and you want to make it as simple as possible, go ahead and visit anchor.fm/start. Now, let's jump into our show. Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. I'm excited to come to you today because I wanted to give you just your afternoon checkup and check-in. You know, we're in this process of trying to finish the year strong, and many of you are really trying to work through a number of issues as it relates to finishing the year strong. And one of the things I keep hearing is, how do I set goals for myself in 2020? Well, I'll give you a couple of tips about setting goals for 2020, but what I would like to do is to encourage you again to finish the year strong. It's important for you to close out the year just as strong as you started the year in 2019. And quite frankly, if you don't do that, you can set as many goals as you want for 2020, but it's going to put you in a position where you're going to end 2020 unfulfilled with a number of unfinished goals. So I encourage you to play back a number of my podcasts, particularly over the last month or so, as we talked about finishing the year strong and what it takes to do that. Now, as it relates to setting goals for 2020, there are a couple of things that I would encourage you to do and to think about. Number one, where are you at right now? Where are you right now in terms of your goals? What have you accomplished? What have you achieved this year? And this ties back into finishing the year strong, because if you have no concept of what you've achieved over 2019, it's going to be difficult to build momentum for 2020. So as you look at where you are right now, the next step or next question you got to ask yourself is, where do I want to be, and how do I get there from here? Now, where you want to be should be relatively aligned with where you are now. Now, unless you are resetting a number of things in your life and you're going through a process of just complete transformation, and even if you're doing that, you really should be building off of momentum that you've developed over the 2019, and that momentum is going to be critical for you, because that momentum says, I haven't wasted my time. I've done something of substance and of meaning, and I'm going to build upon that to create this thing that I want to produce, whether it's a new thing or an evolving thing. And so when you look at where you are now, you got to figure out where you want to be in relation to where you are now. Now, for those of you who are setting new goals that need to be measured, numerical goals, key indicators, one of the things I encourage clients to do all the time is to set reasonable goals that are within reach, right? I am a believer in setting out of reach goals because I think that has relevancy. But I think what's equally important is striking a balance of putting goals within reach so that you're not over promising yourself things that you just won't be able to deliver on at the end of the year. So it's going to be critical for you to set the right goal or the right goals for what you're trying to accomplish. If you don't, it will lead to significant disappointment at the end of the year. And as you set those right goals, then you need to figure out, well, how do I get there? What's the plan? What's the strategy? How am I going to break this down? I can tell you right now, there are goals that I'm setting for 2020, and the breakdown is coming. It has been downloaded into my spirit, into my mind. And that download process was so important, because when I did the download process, it put into context, what do I have to do? How do I do it? Got it. And if you and I were to have a coaching session, if we were to get together and just talk about your goals, it would be the same thing. The lofty goals are important. The things you want to accomplish are important. But how do you break that down? How do you get there? And I think oftentimes people forget that the challenge of getting from here to there can be very difficult, particularly if you set extremely lofty goals. But the difficulty of getting from here to there is pretty significant, particularly if you don't have momentum. Even with momentum, it's going to have its own challenges. The process, the journey, 2020 is going to have its own challenges. So you need to put yourself in a position where you're not over promising things to yourself, to your customers, to your team members, to your company, but you're putting yourself in position to build upon what's been done and challenging yourself at the same time. When you do that, you will systematically see growth. I have done this several times over in my business. I've done this several times over with clients of mine, and it continues to be a faithful and true opportunity for me to set realistic goals. And then lastly, what's important for you to do in the situation as you jump into 2020? You got to measure your progress. Now, this is tied to the process of how, right? Questioning how do I accomplish this? How do I set my goals? How do I do this? When you break it down, when you simplify the process, when you simplify the journey you got to take, it will give you some indicators you need to hit to measure success. If you're not able to measure success, you will not know where you are succeeding, where you're failing, or where the hiccups are, or where the challenges are, or where the points of progress are coming, or where the momentum of push is coming. The indicators are your health indicator, and it tells you how far you're progressing on your journey. I share these things with you because I believe that you are close to achieving whatever it is that you desire. However, in order to achieve that, it begins with finishing the year strong. I cannot stress that enough. You must finish the year strong. And then secondly, follow this process that I just walked you through. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? How do you get there? Measuring your progress in order to set your goals for 2020. And hopefully, you will begin to see progress and momentum as soon as 2020 hits. It is up to you to do that. I'm believing that there's something greater for you on the other side, but you gotta actually do the work and make it happen. Now you can follow me on drwilliampclark.com. On that particular website, I have all my resources, all my books and courses that can help you get to that point. And in 2020, for those of you who are from the nonprofit world, we're going to be shifting gears just a bit, and we're going to be digging deeper into fundraising and grant writing. All of my podcasts, all of my content is going to be shifting towards that end. And so for those of you into that stuff, the podcast is going to be shifting towards that. And it's all about fundraising and finding the resources to support your vision. I am a big believer in the nonprofit world. I'm a big believer in what can be accomplished through the nonprofit world. But when I did my doctoral thesis, there was one thing that was clear to me. The people that do the good work that changes hearts and minds, they need money. And in order for them to have money that is sustainable, they need to change their practices. And for a number of years now, I've been researching and writing, practicing and consulting on the concept of sustainability. You will be hearing more about that going into 2020 from the podcast, on my YouTube videos, my social media posts, etc. And I'm going to be focusing on helping as many nonprofits as I can get to the point of raising good money, serious money, to build six-figure programs that can last and stand the test of time. That is my purpose. That is my passion. That is my mission. And so for those of you into that, this podcast is going to shift in that direction. For those of you who are just who are for-profit professionals or business owners who are in the for-profit arena, let me invite you. Let me encourage you to still listen. Here's the reason why. Even though I'll be utilizing terminology, terms, concepts, strategies that will help the nonprofit community, I have found that many of the concepts that I have presented and researched and developed for the nonprofit community actually have pretty good application and fit within the for-profit world. So for those of you looking to diversify ways to raise revenue, generate sales, or grow your business, this podcast is still for you. It'll be different language, but I think different language will put into context different ideas you've been practicing all this time. And in fact, it may encourage you to do things differently and do things greater. So to my core audience, I'm so excited to go on this journey with you going into 2020. I hope you follow the processes that I established here for you in setting your goals for 2020. But don't forget, you got to finish the year strong. 2019 is still here. We got less than 30 days. The countdown's on. And for you to finish the year strong, you got to stay focused. Close the books, close the sales, close your customers, serve with integrity and with purpose. This is Dr. William Clark for Leadership Conversations. We'll see you in the next show. Peace.